Once a week, my bosses give me a chance to sound off on something close to my heart. We all remember the story of the goose that laid the golden egg. The farmer one day discovering that he had a goose that occasionally would lay a solid gold egg. The farmer already had a prosperous farm, but the more golden eggs that he got, the less he wanted to work the farm. He thought he deserved more and better. The moral of the story was those who have plenty always want more, and in the end they lose everything. It's a story of greed and the damage that it does. That story came to mind this week when I saw that the Trump administration had announced a plan that might finally rein in drug prices, a problem that plagues millions of Americans. The plan would allow Americans to import lower-cost prescription drugs from countries like Canada. Insulin is a great example. Every day in this country, families are forced to make the agonizing decision between paying their rent or getting their child's insulin. It shouldn't be that way. But when three companies control 90% of the global insulin market, that's what can happen. And the difference between Canada and the U.S. is Canada negotiates the cost of its drugs. The U.S. doesn't. How about the EpiPen? If you're the parent with an allergic child, you know that here, the cost of that life-saving pen has soared to between $600 and $700. That's price gouging, pure and simple. These manufacturers know that families that need those pens will pay anything. But in Great Britain, the same pen, because they negotiate, is $70. So the president's plan could be a lifeline. Now, upon hearing that, who do you think immediately threw a fit? Big Pharma. They called the plan dangerous for Americans, and they have an army of people and buckets of cash to keep this from happening. In 2018, pharmaceutical companies, according to the Center for Responsive Politics, spent $152 million on influencing legislation. Big Pharma had 2 lobbyists assigned for every single member of Congress, and over the past decade, drug makers have poured $2.5 billion into lobbying and funding members of Congress to influence everything from the cost of drugs to how new medications are approved. That's a lot of golden eggs. And in the words of Gordon Gekko, the words that Big Pharma lives by, greed is good. And you can bet that they will not go down without a fight.